Hi everyone, Amy here, and I have a multi-stencil card to share with you today, so let's jump right in. This first stencil I'm showing you is new to the May release at a Colorful Life Designs. It's called Layered Butterfly. It's a 3x6 and you can see it does have that masking portion included. Here's a couple photos of the finished card that I'm going to make for you today. Now this May release at a Colorful Life Designs is chock full of gorgeous, springy and summery type of images, so be sure to check it out. And if you do shop, use my coupon code AMYFAN10 and save 10% on your complete order. Now here I'm showing you a little mix of a bunch of different Distress Oxides. I didn't end up using the Twisted Citron, but I did use the other colors that I've shown there. And I will link those below the video in the video description box with the other products that I used. So I'm just kind of lining up this open portion of the butterfly at an angle on this little stitched heart. And it's a stitched heart die from Catherine Pooler. It's a set of all different size hearts, so I picked one that I thought would work well with the size of this little butterfly. And now I'm going to come in with my Salvaged Patina and my blending brush and just lay down kind of a light covering just to really kind of show the outline and lay down some separation of this outline of the design on the heart. Now I do have a separate set of brushes dedicated to my oxides because they are a hybrid ink, which means that they're part dye and part pigment ink. So they do kind of fill up my brush a little bit differently than my dye ink, so I like to have a separate set dedicated specifically for my oxides. So now I'm going to remove that stencil from the heart and then wipe it off with my stamp chamois, and then I'm going to come back in with the more detailed layer of the butterfly to kind of lay down more color and more detail in this design. So again, I'm going to mask off the parts of the paper that aren't covered by the Mylar because I don't want to get ink where I don't want it. And then I'm going to come in with the purples and the pinks, and then ultimately that gathered twigs is what I use for the body, and I thought that would also be a nice complement to the craft color paper that I used. But I was mindful to pick colors that I knew would get along and blend well together, so that's part of the reason I didn't use the Twisted Citron, just because that wouldn't really get along with the pinks and purples and things like that. So I decided to skip that, but I am coming in with this gorgeous can't think of what that one's called. It's only one of my favorites. Oh, Seedless Preserve. And then this is the new Villainous Potion, and those blend gorgeous with the pink color that I laid down. And obviously they'll get along really well with that teal as well below it. So I'm just going to remove these pieces and then again wipe off my stencil and then come in with the little detailed body portion just to kind of finish off that design. And that's where I'm going to use the brown color with the gathered twigs. But I do need to really mask off around this because I don't want to accidentally get ink down through those other parts of the stencil. So I'm just using my little pieces of Post-it tape just to kind of mask off, just so I can ink only in that little body for the cute little butterfly. So I'm going to remove these pieces here and show you. This turned out so pretty. Now this is another new stencil. It's called Folk Flowers, and I thought this would make a really cool background. So I was kind of thinking using more of that brown color just to really tie in the craft heart on the design, but you'll see I do end up bringing in some of the other colors that I used as well. And I'm just going to kind of come in light-handed. I'm not even necessarily adding ink from the ink pad down. I'm just kind of laying down color in spots just to create a subtle background for the back of this card. So I have the Salvaged Patina brush, the teal that I'm kind of laying down, just kind of all over. You can kind of think in terms of laying a color down in 3 spots. So kind of think like creating a bit of a visual triangle, and that'll help you not only create something pleasing to the eye, but also kind of evenly distribute your colors if you're not really sure what to do. So just think in terms of laying it down in 3 places and think of a visual triangle. Now here at this point I'm thinking, now the purple doesn't really match. So I bring the stencil back in and decide to add some of the purple from my blending brush as well. And that really kind of tied the whole thing together. So at the very least, I thought I was going to have to lay down some purple blingage or something to really kind of bring out that butterfly. But I think this really did the trick, and I was happy with how that looked. And as you can see, I am blending directly on the card base, so I do add some dimension into this card, but overall that blending with the folk flowers is just right on the card base. So there's not a ton of bulk, but there is definitely some dimension. So here I'm shopping my sentiment book. These are baseball card pockets, or protector sheets rather, and this is where I store a bunch of my die cut words and things like that, so that I can really batch and mass produce when I sit down to make cards. So this thanks die is from Tailored Expressions, but I'm flipping through and making sure that that's for sure the one that I wanted to use. I have this gorgeous Sending Smiles from Simon Says Stamp. I was considering that one. You know, truthfully, a lot of these could have worked, but as you saw in the photos, I ended up ultimately going with the thanks. This is a Here For You, also from Simon Says Stamp, but I did use my Barely Art liquid glue and that fine tip just to kind of lay that thanks down. I did put just little beads of glue on the back and then kind of pounced it off on some scratch paper, just so there wasn't too much extra glue oozing out. And here I have some foam tape. This is extremely sticky foam tape from scrapbook.com. I'm just going to lay a couple pieces of that down on the back of the heart just to kind of pop it up off the design. And I'm just going to remove the backer here and then kind of place that down on the card at an angle. But I'm so pleased with how this turned out so far. You guys, there's so many gorgeous stencils in this release. So be sure to check out the rest. I do have an intro video from the beginning of the release where I show you quite a few of them, but I don't even have the full release. So you don't want to miss it. Be sure to check it out. But here I have my liquid glue again and my jewel picker and some cute little blingage. This is from an order at the Rabbit Hole Designs. They always send you all these cute little extra shimmery bits in your order. So I'm just going to lay those down. You know, a few here and there, but they're these really pretty pastel colors that worked really well with the colors that I chose of Distress Oxides. So again, I will link all the products that I used in the video description box below the video. So just expand that area and scroll down if you want to check out any of those details. But I'm so pleased with how this one turned out. I decided here I want to add one more because I can't leave it an even number. I have to do an odd number. So I'm struggling a little bit here, but I made it work. Had to lay down 7 instead of 6. So anyway, I hope you enjoy this card and like how it turned out. I'm really pleased. I love the dimension from the foam tape, and I don't know, that chalkiness really is cool from the Distress Oxide. I love how it kind of pops off that craft paper. So if you enjoyed the video, please hit the thumbs up and consider subscribing. I have a couple other videos here for you to check out if you're interested. And thanks so much. I'll catch you next time. Bye.